Welcome to the Discover Universal podcast. I'm your host, Cassie.
I'm Dylan.
And I'm Brian.
Hey, why are you doing that?
Yeah,
with your fingers?
Guys, I'm trying to channel my inner Dr. Victoria Frankenstein, which is a character we're going to talk about today. Of many.
Of many.
Yeah, of many.
Okay.
A very dark and foreboding topic. Okay, Michelle, what are we talking about today?
Yeah, today we're talking about Dark Universe at Universal Epic Universe.
Okay, that makes more sense. Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
In that case, I think you did great.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm working on it. By the time the park opens, I'll be there.
You get some time. Yeah. Let's talk about how do we tie into personally with the classic monsters, because they've been around for hundreds of years now. Officially, like we have reached the 100-year mark, and it's quite incredible to see that this legacy lived on. So what are some things that you guys can relate back to with the Universal Classic Monsters?
Well, if I'm being honest, I just decided to comb through all those classic Universal monsters.
Okay, so you did your research.
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
And first of all, kudos to that entire team that put that together, because that was in the 1930s. That's coming up on 100 years ago,
impressive.
and they're cutting it like. As far as the special effects that they were able to do of that time period is wild to think about. And second of all, I knew you were a big fan of the monsters, so I was like, I'm gonna need to box with them a little bit.
Maybe a little
And
bit.
I'm gonna have to tell you, man. No, don't Dracula is not my favorite.
We're gonna have beef.
Oh,
on this,
I know.
There's a little bit of rivalry going on in the studio a little bit today.
It's been like 2 days now. You guys have been going at it about this.
Yeah, man, the Invisible Man and the creature from the Black Lagoon.
See, I'll give it to the creature from the Black Lagoon. Invisible Man's cool. They're all cool, but Dracula, come on now.
Oh no, the movie was great.
Pretty amazing. Yeah, for me, so it's not as popular of one, but I'll tell you why it's my favorite. Phantom of the Opera is my favorite, and here's why. So my grandmother was a music teacher growing up, and so that was like putting that movie on was education for us. We'd sit there and watch it, and she's like, okay, this is what a concerto is. This is what a blah, blah, blah is. So we learned through it. But it was such good memories for us as kids to watch that movie and just to experience that. And now I have this like deeper connection with this character. And I hear he's going to be brought to life.
So we have two really exciting guests today. We have Peter, the Senior Creative Director of Universal Creative. He's been with Universal for 6 years and got his start making monster movies 39 years ago.
Yeah, and joining him, we have Frances, who's production designer of Monsters Unchained, The Frankenstein Experiment. And she's been with Universal for nearly 10 years and was a part of some of those introductory conversations about Epic Universe and has worked on projects both here and at Universal Studios Hollywood.
So why don't we bring them in and get the interview started?
I'm ready.
All right. So, friends, we have two of the most creative minds in all of the business. Can you go ahead and tell the listeners about yourself? And most importantly, what is your favorite monster? Frances, would you like to kick us off?
Of course. Hi, I'm Frances Franceschi. I'm a production designer for Universal Creative. My favorite monster, okay, this might be a little one-off, but for where we are right now in our character development, the brides across our land are my favorite. I think they do the most destruction throughout everything. They have the most dimension to them, so I'm really excited for our brides.
You like destruction.
Apparently. Just wait till you see what they do. Just wait till you see what they do. Oh my God, you'll be impressed.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Pete Carsillo. I'm the Senior Creative Director for Dark Universe, and I work for Universal Creative as well. My favorite monster is a tough one because I've been a monster fan my whole life, so I got like a broad array to pick from. But I think if I had to go back in time, I would say the Frankenstein monster, and then in a wrestling match would be King Kong.
Wow, that is creative. I like that.
Yeah. And I'll just go ahead and say I just made it through all the original monster movies.
Ooh, nice.
Like all the 1930 stuff, and some of those effects that they were able to do in 1930 was amazing.
It's
like
true.
Yeah, watching like Creature from the Black Lagoon and the fact that they're filming underwater. I feel like smartphones just got the ability to be waterproof a couple years ago.
It's like I got my phone.
And they're doing full scenes like that.
You should have seen the behind-the-scenes part of that, because they were like building concrete basins and putting guys looking through windows to film that. It wasn't actually underwater cameras. So it was much tougher than you even think.
See that?
Yeah.
And that's movie making magic. Like that's what they talk about.
That's it.
Yeah, and that is a beautiful creature. You now that you said that, I may have to give King.
No take backs. No.
No take backs. Okay.
No take backs.
Oh my gosh. Well, speaking of monsters, we have like 100 years of just legacy and history to pull from here. But what specifically inspired you guys and the team to create Dark Universe and Darkmoor Village?
Oh well,
that's a big one.
Like I said, it wasn't hard because we've been fans of Universal Monsters forever, and so when someone said, "Would you like to work on it?" It was like not even
yes.
wasn't even
No hesitation.
a split second because I had been working on other lands at Epic Universe and said, "Oh, absolutely." You know, in terms of inspiration, those original films that you just watched, you can't beat them. You can't beat them. And I think it's something, if you look all across film history, all of Hollywood history, you won't find characters that resonate 100 years later like these characters do. And it's in part because of the way that they made those movies. You know, these characters really connect with people, and they're not simple monsters. You know, they have richness and they have heart, and so being able to connect to them is kind of the foundation of our whole land. You know, and that these monsters are the stars of the movie. You know, if you see a monster in Dark Universe, it's cool. It's not. It's not like I'm going to run away. It's like I'm going to run toward the monster. Right? Because I want to meet that monster. So to me, making a place like a real live in-world place where I can go and meet the monsters in their world, I'm like, I'm there.
Yeah. And that's the really neat thing is that we got to talk to you guys before, and it's like hearing the passion from you and hearing the passion from the team, because it is, like Cassie said, like there's a legacy behind this, 100 years of Universal Classic Monsters. And now not only do we get to see them from the silver screens 100 years ago, but today we get to go in person and actually get to meet them in front. And the people behind all of that are people who are passionate like you guys, growing up and seeing them and falling in love with them. And now we as the fans get a chance to actually see that in fruition, like in person. It's a tangible thing now.
Yeah, there's just, to me, it's just, there's nothing more universal than the monsters, right? So to be able to bring that legacy to 2024, 2025, right? It's a passion for us, really. But I think for me, honestly, when I was part of the Blue Sky team in development of Epic Universe, so when we were still trying to figure out what did we want these lands to be, the first one was Dark Universe. I mean, nobody batted an eye. It was like, yep, we have to have our monsters
Smart
here.
choice.
Like,
Smart choice.
Finally get our monsters here. And we've done Creature from the Black Lagoon within our history of Universal Parks, but how we are going to bring these monsters to life in Epic Universe, nobody has ever done before. And how close we're going to bring our guests to the monsters. I mean, it's going to almost feel like they're like breathing on you. That's how close they're going to get to these. So, and it's a lot of hard work that goes on in the background, but when you are working with a legacy IP like this, it's like all the hard days and everything, it doesn't matter. It just feels like an honor to work on it every single day. So it's been good.
Well, and it's something I feel like that fans have just been craving to be able to experience these all year round, right? Because we have Halloween Horror Nights where we get to experience them a little bit throughout the year, but to actually be able to go year round and experience these stories, see these creatures is going to be so incredibly rewarding, I feel like, for fans and new fans too, right? People who will learn the stories for the first time and just get to kind of immerse themselves into that for the first time.
That's what was so compelling for me when they said, hey, you want to do this? Because I was one of those kids that would paint their face and then get the plastic fangs and run around the neighborhood with the rubber masks on. And to have an opportunity to bring a whole new generation of young fans to these characters and bring new monsters to these stories, bring new characters into this world, it was just too much that you could ever wish for. It was just too great.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, and we kind of have a modern spin on this, right? So we're being introduced to Dr. Victoria Frankenstein. Yes. And so it kind of brings new light to these stories as well. So, of course, we'll get to experience the old versions or kind of be reminded of these old characters that we've known and loved, but Dr. Victoria Frankenstein as well. So how is her story infused throughout this land? Where can we see that kind of come to life?
The Monsters Unchained, Frankenstein experiment, that's where you're going to really get up close and personal with Dr. Victoria and really get a sense of the Frankenstein legacy, the name, everything, and where she is today, how she has evolved the Frankenstein name. So when we say that, like, you're going to see some of the older bits, right? We're inspired, and she's taken over the old Frankenstein manor. So you see a lot of the older stuff from her great-great-grandfather, right? From Henry Frankenstein, and how she has modernized it with her own equipment, right? What has she added on top of that? And what are these new things that she's trying to, like, what new technology she's trying to bring into this, but using some of his old stuff, right? So everything is a little bit of an evolution of where Henry Frankenstein left that. So her as a character, like, just having her, I feel like, is already just like a modern spin on all of this.
She's so cool.
She is so cool. She's such a strong character, and she has so much depth and dimension to her. We talk about these, like, kind of a gray area of her. Like, what is she doing? What is she driven by? Why is she trying to capture these monsters? You know, is it to, like, a self-fulfilling prophecy of hers or something like that? Like, she has so much dimension to her. So I think that's really cool. But also, I think how the monsters are also modernized. Not just Dr. Victoria, but how the monsters are dressed a little bit. Like, a lot of it got inspired by where we are today, so that we're not always just still in the 1930s, right? We're still in today's time.
So, like, people today can correlate and actually
see
some representations of themselves with it, and they're like, okay, I can see myself here.
Absolutely.
So there's a good connection between the past to the present and the future.
Yes,
with that.
absolutely.
I think it's really cool how you said it's more of a Frankenstein legacy than it is a character now, which is really interesting to make it almost larger than life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's cool.
She is larger than life. Yeah. Like, her character, she really is. I also say her height. Like, she just naturally is very she's a tall character, you know? It's really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, she really is larger than life. So it's cool. Yeah.
For sure. Well, we've talked about, new fans, right? People who don't know about the monster stories entering this land for the first time. What do you feel like that connection piece that fans will have with these characters, with these monsters, just overall? What do we feel when we step in and come face to face with these monsters?
Well, I think the land itself is a monster too, so that everything is kind of decaying and kind of collapsing. If you've never seen a Universal monster movie, this will be like you're walking into the real world where all this happens, and you'll just experience it like you're there. And you should very quickly be able to pick up exactly what the themes are, where the darker parts of town are, where the parts you may be a little scared to go into. But being a little bit scared is part of this experience, right? We want you to feel a little bit of trepidation, but also rewarded for going in and being brave, going down into the catacombs where the vampires are, going off into the woods where werewolves are running around, hanging out with really strange monster hunter people in the windmill. So you want to be able to experience all these things like it's real, and then internalize that, and it just, now it becomes part of you, right? Once all of Dark Universe becomes part of your life lived, now we got new fans, right? Yeah. That's what we're really looking for. And then hopefully, because Dark Universe and Darkmoor as a village was designed as basically as a collection spot, right? So all those old movies, if you watched Son of Frankenstein and Frankenstein, they're all different, right? Yeah. The production design, everything's a little different. So we said, okay, let's use Frankenstein as the world, right? That's like the manor and it's like the style of the stones and all that. Let's make it a little more realistic, like we could do it today. And then let's combine all these characters in one place so that we can say all those stories happened here. Now what happens?
Right.
Right. We didn't want to build a museum. It was really important to build something that was alive, right?
Lived in.
But
right?
it's got the history, but it feels new too.
Yeah.
So that's really our hope, was to find the perfect sweet spot so that old fans like myself, don't feel alienated, don't feel left behind. But then new fans can go, man, this is cool. This is for me. So, it brings everybody together around these characters.
Yeah.
And you talked about, too, how, this is like a family-friendly themed land as well. And I remember, me growing up, I was petrified of anything scary, classic monsters. I was like, I'm good. I don't want to deal with that. I was just too scared. And, over time, I generally got into it. And I'm like, no, it's another level. These are really cool. So it's really neat to see that we have a new generation of kids that are also going to be able to experience this land. And it's like you said, you get this sense of like there's a little bit of scariness to it, and you got a little bit of fear, but once you go through it, you kind of feel rewarded for it, and you have this like heightened elevation of yourself and confidence, and that's kind of what this land can offer to our younger generations to be able to kind of step their feet into this world of Darkmoor and Dark Universe itself.
Yeah, we're actively celebrating the 25th anniversary of Islands of Adventure, right? And I was like, I immediately started going through like my family photos, and I have like these pictures from like 2002 with my family visiting the parks for the first time, and I can remember being that young and being like, oh, I want to like build up the courage to ride Hulk, right? Or like something like that, you know? And like the second I got to like enough confidence to do it, enough courage to do it, now it's like, that was my favorite ride, right? Right after that, it's like, that's my favorite. And I feel like that's also something that's going to happen with our land. Like as they're getting older or as they build up the confidence to be like, I'm going to go get on Monsters Unchained, right? And then you're going to get that like badge of honor. Like I think it'll probably build that way. But it is still, there are still bits, I would say, like going into the Frankenstein Manor, going through that queue, there's a lot of cool things that are not necessarily scary or anything. It's more like interesting to see all this like lab equipment, her study, her library, all these things. Like I think a lot of people are going to have a little bit of curiosity as to like what's behind the Frankenstein Manor door. And I think that's going to push people to go a little bit further. Whether you get on the ride or not, just walking through and doing all that bit, like that's a little bit of a badge of honor too, right?
And I think there's one way to take it one step further, right? This is what's so different about Dark Universe is after I get off either of those attractions, or even if I'm just walking around, I can go over to the Darkmoor monster makeup experience, get made up as a monster, and now I'm a universal monster in a universal monster world.
Amazing.
Right? I mean, it's incredible. No one's ever given to us before. When I was a kid, I would have died to have that. Because it was so cool. And as we talk to all these people, we've worked with so many terrific talents on this project, all Hollywood folks and monster makers. And when we would go through the creative on this and introduce them to the project, they would just like start laughing. They would literally start laughing in the middle of the presentation. I'm like, what would I say? You know, they go, I just never thought that you guys would do this. You know, I never thought that you would take this approach to the Universal Monsters. And honestly, it took a long time to get there, right? We had to kind of create it and get everybody behind us. And now it's like a no-brainer. Everybody's like, yeah, that's the right thing.
Yeah,
that's exciting.
And if someone's afraid of monsters, how does the family experience all these other elements that come with the world? I know you said the makeup experience is going to be really awesome. Yeah, I'm just curious as to some of those other ways.
That's part of it. That's an empowering thing.
Yeah,
I think that it is a little bit about challenging yourself.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, Epic Universe on the whole, if we just look across the entire park, is an incredible collection of family experiences, and so what we've tried to do is find the balance to where we can say that this is a little bit edgy, it's a little bit transitional. Yep. So, like, you know, the kid may be a little scared, but these are really brief moments of fright mixed in with a lot of thrill and a lot of fun and a lot of shareable experiences, right? Because the more we can share in it together, the more we like, even a scary moment, the more it bonds us together, right? Yeah. And that's, so I think there's even if it might seem a little scary, that it's actually very rewarding for a family to do it. And you can relate to
some of these monsters like you were saying earlier.
Well, and we do telegraph everything, so you know you'll know from the time you walk in to Darkmoor that there are monsters around. Yeah, you know, just at the outskirts of the village, there's a cage of where they trapped a monster, and it's all decayed and it's gone. And it's one of the mole people. If you ever saw our old Universal movie, The Mole People. So right away for
that's what I haven't seen.
So we have moles. We have mole people in Darkmoor, and so right away you know that this is a Universal monster experience. But you also know it's a little bit scary, right? So honestly, it's all family friendly. It's accessible, but you have to look at it as a little bit scarier than your average. It's not Halloween Horror Nights. It's not jump scares, but it is true to our legacy, right? And if you look at these movies, these old movies, they weren't about being scary, these monsters. I mean, Phantom of the Opera is terrifying, right?
Yes.
But it's like an obsessive love story at its foundation, right? Yes. Hunchback, same thing. Frankenstein, just out there looking to be accepted by people. He's
all about love.
He's scary. He's scary, but he's not violent, right? The sweetest scenes in Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein are all about him being rejected, you know? So there's a way that you can connect to this and make it feel real to you without it being too scary.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned entering for the first time. I have to go back and ask about the portal because it looks absolutely incredible. So tell us about the portal. What do we experience when we first step into this world? What is that like? Just being opened to Dark Universe for the first time.
So one thing about, we were joking earlier about like all the different universes, right? Yeah. So we are Dark Universe, but there was a general creative intent that was when you go through these portals, you really are transported to a different universe, right? So you will have this type of transportation sequence via LED, media, sound effects, visual effects. Like a lot is going to be happening to transport you to this different universe. And the way that our portals are designed, you might get a bit of our manor facade from different areas of the land. But honestly, when you're standing in front of our portals and you're looking in, you're not seeing much behind it, right? So that it gives you that time to really transition you into the land and then be completely exposed to what's in front of you, right? So there was a lot of like detailed design work done to make sure that those bits can be covered when you're standing in front of the portal, right? Yeah. To really allow you to have that like entry sequence walk through.
That immersive nature.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And we see some of the electricity kind of flowing through, and we see the electric pieces kind of throughout the land as well.
Yeah, well, if you want to think about the apparatus, right, the electric thing, to me the portal represents the struggle that you see in Frankenstein, right? Because Frankenstein's kind of the foundation of this version of Dark Universe. So it's the apparatus versus death, right? It's like the life and death, the nature of all that. And so that's what this whole portal is trying to play out, and it's giving you like a teaser for what the major themes are once you go inside.
But there's something really unique to, I think, us as Universal. We can kind of toy with that edge, right? Of like, what is too dark? What is, you know, like I think that it's something very uniquely Universal that we could go to almost this like a little bit of PG-13 area with this land and these attractions and not get away with it, but it's almost like
it's fitting.
It is fitting for us. And I really do think that this is our first time truly stepping into it as a full day experience, not just from HHN, which is a nighttime experience, allowing our guests to really experience this like edge and darkness a little bit throughout the entirety of a day, right? So I think it's very unique to what we can do as Universal.
Now, like, speaking about theming, I know we talked about the portal, which I'm not trying to be biased. It's my favorite one so far. It's really neat what you guys did there. But going into something I love talking about, food. And we have some really cool, unique theming experiences as far as food and beverage goes for this land. I would love to talk about Das Steakhouse.
Oh, Das Steakhouse.
That sounds really good.
That sounds good. That sounds so good.
You have to get is it's S-T-A-K-E, right? Steak.
Right.
So one thing I didn't know before I started studying the vampire world is it's a very political world where stakings happen all the time, right? Vampires stake each other, which I didn't know, right? We made it up. But we had to create a fiction around this. And so underneath Darkmoor, this steakhouse exists at the outlet of the catacombs that Victoria is doing experiments in. The vampires also have a huge vampire colony underneath Darkmoor, right? There's even a well so that they can feed blood down to the colony from the village above. It's creepy as can be, right? Okay. And so these vampires, if somebody gets out of line, right, as vampires do, they like all pull out stakes and stake them. Now they don't explode into dust or anything. They actually like freeze. And this comes from our film House of Frankenstein. And then so the familiars, the people that are serving you in the steakhouse, they're like keeping an eye out in case the vampires get hungry. And so you never know if you're going to come out a vampire or we like to think you come out with little bite marks on your neck. It'd be kind of a good thing. But it's really, really cool. And it looks amazing inside. And it really is we really hope to be the greatest themed dining experience in all of theme parks. Yeah. What did you get the other one, though? The Burning Blade?
See, I was like, I want to save that for last. Because we could talk about it now because, like, every time I've heard about this, they're like, the windmill's going to be on fire. The windmill's going to be on fire. I'm like, is it going to be on fire?
Yes!
Hey, he said it. He said it.
Okay, it's like it's confirmed. That is just
it explodes.
That's like pushing the boundaries of like I've never like have seen that like anywhere. It's the fact that you guys are going to have this experience, the Burning Blade Tavern, where you got like unique characters like the Hounds and stuff. That's going to be a part of it. They have their own story within that. Kind of walk us through like seeing the facade and getting into the Burning Blade and what like the whole vibe is being inside there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
So imagine you're in the village and the bell starts ringing in the bell tower. That's the sign that there's monsters been sighted. And so everyone makes their way to the windmill. And you can hear the crowd building. We have this about a 1.5-minute show that goes on with the building up to the explosion. And honestly, when we first did it, it didn't work. This is the way things are in theme parks, right? It doesn't always work like the first time you do it. And so we spent 1.5 years working on it. Wow. And we tried some things that we used some aerospace technology, and we tried some things that have never, ever been done before. Our parks are full of innovation. In case you don't know, our walls in our offices are lined with patents. And it's because we really do push the envelope. That's what's so unique about what we do. And so to create something that actually looked like burnt wood and burn for a minute is really incredible.
Moving.
Like, and moving, and it's not going to be a one-night experience. Like this is every single night.
It's every day.
It's throughout the day.
And the day.
It's like,
really, we're doing things that nobody's ever tried, right? And so you sit there with these massive illusions going, is this going to work? And when it finally does, with a tremendous team, and you go, oh, I can't believe it, you know? And then you start showing it to other people, and they go, wow, that's not CGI. I go, no, none of this is CG. This is real.
Wow.
And so I can't wait to share it with you. I think it's going to be great.
And not to toot Pete's horn or anything like this, but I will say that it being on fire and spinning alone is already amazing, right? And then Pete took it another level with the detail that's actually in this faux wood of the wings themselves of the burning blade. I mean, there's so much detail in that. And you could have just left it straight at, it's on fire. Like, that's cool enough. But you were like, no, we have to dive into the detail on how this wood, this burning blade actually looks. And there's just so much behind that. And I think, again, it's to the original point about just being passionate about what we're doing and making sure that we live up to this legacy and do it justice. And, like, details like that. I mean, you could have just accepted it at burning and you were like,
well, but that's what makes our job so rewarding, because we're sitting there and a lot of times it doesn't work right off the bat, right? And you're sitting there and you're just like staring at this going, how am I going to take this to the next level? And then how am I going to take it 2 more levels up, right? Because we're universal. We can't be satisfied with just okay. It's got to be epic. I mean, literally, we put the name on the shirt. You got to live up to it. And so that's what all of Epic Universe is about going above and beyond what's ever been done before. And I think and I say this having seen the other lands too, I really believe it's true. This is going to be such an incredible experience when people come to see Epic Universe.
Yeah. And it's kind of a 2-part reveal, I would say, how the land is designed, going through the portal, being in the cemetery, actually 3-part. You go through the portal, seeing the cemetery, and then you get to the village walls, right? And the way that Pete has designed the setup to where you see the village, but it frames the manor, the Frankenstein manor. Cool. Beautiful. It is absolutely gorgeous. So that's like the second step of the reveal in the land. And as you continue further, then you see the windmill. So that's like the 3rd part. It's like the icing on top. Okay. And in that shot, you're going to see a little bit of the village. You see the coaster, the windmill, and the manor facade. It's all set up so beautifully as you're walking through, and it's a great reveal.
It's the beauty of 3D modeling, honestly, because we model everything, we design everything in 3D. And so when you come through the portal, there was like, well, we don't want to see the manor right away. So we literally built a cube and said, how big does this need to be to block the manor? And then design from there, like keep evolving the story. So the story development process for everything is kind of working back and forth between what's practical and what's needed, what's fun, and then how can we tell a story that can pull people into this, Now,
I knew you might be a fan of thrilling rides. Potentially.
Maybe a little bit.
Maybe
a little bit.
There are 2 very unique, incredible experiences that we're having attraction-wise and ride-wise at Darkmoor and stuff. Curse of the Werewolf. Yeah. I want to know a little more about it, because I think this is the ride that's kind of more like really like family driven. Like, anybody of all ages, as long as you're 40 inches or taller, they could, ride the ride. But it's not just a family coaster. There's a unique thrill that's added to this. And you guys talked about that earlier. Can you kind of explain what that is?
Yeah, I mean, we obviously we want to reach as many people as we can and make sure we have great experiences for everybody. The Curse of the Werewolf started out as a way to bring the werewolf story into Dark Universe, because it's such a huge part of our legacy. And since we have, I don't think it's a surprise, we're not giving away the Wolfman in Monsters Unchained, we said, all right, well, in our legacy, we have all different types of werewolves, right? So could we bring the longer snout type of werewolf and give that character a ride as well? And we went back to the original film, The Wolfman, and we said, the story beats are basically, he goes out on a date with a new friend. They go out into the woods. They meet this mystic woman named Maleva. She says, "Bad news! You're going to be attacked by a werewolf." And then that's how it happens. So we said, okay, it's a fairly simple story. Could we actually have that same thing happen to you? Right? Could you go out into the woods, meet this mystic woman named Maleva? She says, "Bad news," puts you on a wagon, puts you in the wagon, sends you out into the woods. You're immediately attacked by werewolves. And then can you feel like you're transformed and running through the woods and then come back to the camp? And she says, forever now, you must beware the moon, right? Beware of the moon. So it's very simple, and it's straight out of our history. We kind of have a huge backstory on Maleva now. She's our first Asian character apart from the bride in Dark Universe, and she's really amazing. I mean, it's a terrific looking character. But basically, the story is come out, get attacked by a werewolf, transform, and then come back and now you're a universal monster. Right, so every minute we're making 20 fresh werewolves. Can
you explain how you got it to feel like you're a wolf running, or you're a werewolf running through the forest?
Yeah,
how did you create that?
Believe it or not, it starts with the track design. Our track design. I looked at it and I said, okay, so I see what you're doing, and Eric Parr too is amazing. Came up with this whole shuttle launch idea where you actually experience the werewolves 3 times on the ride, and then you get shot out at the end to the howl of the werewolves. You go over the high hill, come down, and then you're like right at grade, right at the ground. And you hear the werewolves, like you're all running through the underbrush. And you hit this tight turn.
Yeah.
And then it shakes you all up and kind of sends you back to the camp. But it is a fantastic minute. And it's so shareable, right? Because the whole time you're looking at all your friends riding with you, and it's just a blast. It's so fun.
I think the free spin or the free yaw motion from the launching, and it kind of adds that next layer of thrill. So rather than just sitting there and launching forward, you're slowly spinning.
Wait, question here from Dylan Charles.
Yeah.
You said it spins.
It has a free motion. And correct me if I'm wrong.
Well,
it's
a powered spin at first. So it does rotate at first, but we were focused on the notion of transformation, right? Like turning from one beast to another beast.
Hold on, that was an extreme detail, and you guys are going to leave that out for a second.
So I was like, when is he going to start talking about the spin?
Here's the thing, and I've written it many times now.
Jealous.
Because every time you get into the attraction, the loading of the vehicle is different, right? Like if Frances and I are on one side, you two are on the other side, our body weights actually are going to drive the vehicle differently, right? And so you can't actually tell exactly what ride you're going to get.
So it's never going to be the same.
I have never been on where it's the same twice.
Oh, wow. And amazing.
Well,
that's amazing.
Monsters Unchained, the Frankenstein experiment. We were so honored to see some footage yesterday from Greg Hall, which I don't think I slept last night. Did you guys sleep?
No, I didn't sleep.
I'm like thinking, like,
crazy.
how does this work? How are we going to experience this? Tell us about that attraction as well, because oh my gosh,
yeah, and we feel the weight of that legacy all the time about the Frankenstein name. It's like when we want to do, if we have to make any like creative compromises or something, we always just think back to like, no, we need to go forward with this detail because we need to give our guests that detail. They haven't experienced this. We have to do it. So we're constantly feeling that. But it's everything about this is just larger than life on the Monsters Unchained. It really is. We have, I think it's 14 animated figures. So 14 monsters,
that's
right?
A lot.
Some people say, but, we have 14 of them. And that's just the characters, right? That's not including like any animated props or any SAE equipment or anything like that. That's just characters. Mm-hmm. Like this thing really is, we have packed so much into this. But really it does focus around Dr. Victoria, right? And her experiments. Right. So I think that's I think it's something that's really unique that we created this Dr. Victoria character and that it's driven and it's around her. The storyline is around her and what she's doing with these experiments. You start to question, you're like, okay, why is she so fixated on these monsters, right? Why does she want to capture them? What is she trying to prove?
She's capturing them.
So you're going to, I will say, I'm hoping I'm not giving away too much, but as you go into the manor, right, the Frankenstein manor, you're going to start going deeper into the catacombs. And that's where, when she captures them, she really is trying to learn more about them in hopes that she can change them to be part of our world, right? Okay. Being able to be amongst us, right? That's what she wants to prove, that these monsters can still be one with us. So as you go through the ride, you'll start to see that there's some that she has under her, is it control or are they really okay? But you start to see that. And then her big experiment is Dracula, right? So that's the one that she's like, I can prove that I can control Dracula. No, you can't. Right?
That's what's so great is, Henry's experiment was all about ego. Victoria's experiment's all about ego, right? She just wants to prove that she's a genius. And she got a little bit of success under her belt and then just jumped right to the biggest challenge of all. And then because she knows, like all of us, nothing counts unless people share it, right? So
she wants to go viral.
So she's got a trainer. It's legit. But she puts us right, like face to face with the most dangerous character at the worst possible moment, right? And then all things go crazy. So it's really, it's not a new story, but it's a really well-told story. And I think it's going to be brilliant. I think it's going to be absolutely brilliant. It's an incredible attraction.
It looks brilliant.
I mean, and it sounds too like this whole world of Dark Universe and being in Darkmoor, it's like, who is the monster kind of thing. There is no good. There is no bad. It's just you as the guest getting to go through this can kind of pick which storyline you want to take from it. What did you get walking through it? And that's what's really cool about Dr. Victoria Frankenstein. It's just like, she wants the monsters to be accepted into this world because maybe are they trapped within themselves? And however, she's capturing them herself for her own experiments as well. So it's kind of like you get this two sides of the story and you can pick what side you kind of relate to in a way with this land, which is really neat.
Yeah, that's where monster fans, that's why our characters still work, right? 100 years later is because they have that gray area. They have that richness that all of us can relate to, right? I mean, inside all of us is someone longing to be accepted, someone wanting affection, right? I mean, these are really basic things, and that's why our characters work, and that's what we hope to convey through Dark Universe.
Yeah, and I think the buildup of walking through the manor gates, going through the queue, and going through the ride, the ride is really going to drive that thrill and seeing all these monsters, but you're also going to get to experience them in the queue as well. And I think how we build the Victoria character and her background and Henry's background in the queue is really interesting. And there's a lot of things that you can gather from, like, what is she learning? Like, what is she interested in right now? Why was she studying creature this way? Or why was she studying mummy? Like, you're going to see a lot of that in the queue. And I think that's really unique and cool on how we built her background is throughout this queue.
Well, I think we should book in another 6-hour-long interview with them because
I could go
we have like a million other questions. But this was wonderful. This was a good tease, a kind of step into this world. We're so excited, and you guys have just worked so hard, and we cannot wait to see your hard work come to fruition. So thank you for sharing all this with us, guys. This was
thank you so much, guys.
Fantastic.
And congratulations again for the land. It looks remarkable now. I can't wait for people to actually experience it in person.
I know it's Pete and I here, but this is a massive team. Like, we really are. I say massive team, and I think it's more like we actually are a relatively smaller team, right? But for what we're producing, but the way that we're all working together, there's so many people behind this, and everybody is just as passionate about bringing this to life and making sure that we do justice to this land. So there's a lot of hard work going on, and our team is the best on it. So
well, I feel so privileged to be here to represent their work. And to be a part of this project, we're so grateful.
We're two people on a team of many, and it takes a lot of long hours and a lot of just drive to get this thing done, and we're all doing it. And I'm really proud of just our team. Our team is great. So,
well, we're excited. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you guys ready to play a game?
We're ready.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, since we've been talking about Dr. Victoria Frankenstein and the creation of monsters. I'm going to have you create your own monster. So we're going to put 30 seconds on the clock. You all have whiteboards that you'll be able to design your monster.
We do.
I'm going to give you a description of the monster, and you'll have to draw a monster in 30 seconds with that design.
Okay.
And then you'll show it and give a little description of why you chose to go in that direction.
Okay.
And we'll vote on which one was the most fitting,
the most alive,
ominous,
whatever.
My stick figure is going to dominate this competition.
Okay, are you all ready for the description?
Let's
go.
Okay. So this monster is known for being stylish, mysterious, and towering over their friends. They frequent the Darkmoor monster makeup experience regularly, and they're usually found riding Monsters Unchained, the Frankenstein experiment, multiple times a day. They're rocking their whimsical and untamed hair, and they are described as adorably monstrous, but with endearing charm that everyone loves, but fears.
Oh.
Okay.
All right.
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to time you. You have 30 seconds. Starting now.
Okay. Yeah, this is going exactly like that. Okay.
This is perfect.
It's all right. That makes it more chaotic and fitting.
I think that's the theme of my character is chaos, but in darkness.
All right, you guys have 10 seconds left.
Oh, yours is bigger than I thought.
10 seconds. 10 seconds.
Going for height on this bad boy here. Oh, he doesn't have a dash.
Okay.
And pens down.
Oh.
Okay.
All right. Ready?
Ready?
Yeah.
On 3. 1, 2, 3. Wow.
Wait, hang on.
Oh, no, let me see yours. What is going on?
Okay. So let's describe these monsters.
Okay.
Starting with Brian. Brian, what's going on here?
Okay, so by the way, just for context clues, this is me. Okay, this is my wishful 6-foot self. Okay, so we're talking mega monster here. This is Little Jim. All right, we call him Little Jim.
Little Jim, bro.
He is basking in the gothic culture of the Frankensteins and wants to look as such to hide the hideous creations of what he looks like underneath. He's got this kind of like this like birdish creature like self to him. His hair does not, let's say, it defies gravity. There is no gravity, so it's always in the air and stuff. And then I mean, this was supposed to be a cane.
I see it.
We're getting to the hands there, but
I love it.
Yes, little Jim.
Little Jim. I love the comparison too. That's very helpful for the
my
eye.
arm did get detached by him, by the way. That's if you can zoom in on that. I don't know if you can see.
I like the hat too. The hat's good.
Yeah, that hat ain't nothing.
The hat ain't nothing.
That ain't nothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is the best I've ever done. So
all right. So I got Timmy the transparent teenager.
Ooh. I see. Someone really loves the Invisible Man and was feeling inspired.
Okay, look. So you said he's probably going to be stylish. So that's a designer hat, a designer scarf, and some designer little booties, right? But you got to leave him behind because he's invisible. And there's a watch, but I don't worry about it. Okay. So then he takes some footsteps, and now he's going to the ride. So now he's towering above his friends because his friends can't go on the ride, but he can because he's invisible.
Got it.
Wow. But is he tall enough for the attraction? He's invisible.
Yes,
so
he's invisible. You'll never know.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought that was like things you were throwing.
Oh well, he did throw his clothes because he's invisible.
Yeah.
But
why would he need clothes?
Yeah, because when you're invisible, you just go on the ride.
Okay.
And people think he's charming.
Yeah.
What was his name?
Timmy the transparent teenager.
Okay. All right, Cassie, what do we have?
This is Doctoria II. And she is 18 feet tall.
Wow.
Precisely.
Wow.
18 on the head.
Oh, exact.
She loves fashion, but she also loves Monsters Unchained, the Frankenstein experiment. So she does have a t-shirt from the attraction with a designer skirt. We went to the same shop as Dylan.
Nice.
And she has vampire makeup
I love that.
But she just loves the park. That's really the only thing you need to know about her. That's it. That's her whole personality. Really.
I feel like if I was in that area and I saw an 18-foot tall person, I'd be like, hey, I have a question.
Yeah, but she fits, right?
Because absolutely. She's the monster.
She's
Dr.
the great,
Dory, what's the name again?
great grandmother or granddaughter. Yeah, Doctoria the Second.
Doctoria the Second.
I like that.
Yeah.
Man,
Michelle, we should have had you. We should have had you draw one.
I should have drawn one too.
Michelle has to choose the winner.
Well,
and I think it's me, but that's fine.
Whoa, I mean,
because look, wait, because I need you to see something. Wait for it. Timmy's gone. Timmy's gone.
That's pretty dynamic.
The clothes just went away. Okay.
Everything went away.
I think
mine came with special effects.
I'm gonna give some superlatives. I think we'll go in that direction. I think Cassie wins for the one who actually listened to the prompt.
Wait, hold on. She's got a cool hat.
That's what she's trying to say.
Yeah,
he's stylish. He has a cool hat, some designer boots.
I'm a little biased. I like that she has a Monsters Unchained shirt.
Okay,
she does have a heart going.
Yeah, come on, guys.
I'm going to give you the superlative for the most creative because I do think that was very, very creative. That was a good job. Good job.
I'll take it.
With the 30-second time limit, like you had to do what you had to do. That was good.
He had a cool name too.
That was good.
The name was cool.
Brian, I'm going to give it to you for the most creepy.
It's okay. Bronze star. I'll take third place. Little Jim.
No stars. Just
me and Little Jim are used
to
it. That's
okay. No, he's great. It's the cane. The cane.
And this is why
the
Invisible Man is better than Dracula. This is what I've been saying.
And that is the game.
Well done, everybody. Good job. Good job,
guys.
Thank you, you too.
Oh, thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Well, that was a lot of fun.
It was. Good job, guys.
Yeah, Cassie is apparently the champion. The champion of this thing.
We all received accolades for that game, so good job to both of you as well.
Third place star, thank you. I appreciate it.
I think we tied.
I mean, yours I like your name a little bit.
You guys, there's just this constant tension over here this whole episode,
and so
we need to cool down. We need to cool down.
Oh no, it stays. It stays until we prove which monster's best.
Yes.
But now we did learn a lot. But now let's go ahead and do a recap on kind of the 5 main things that we learned from.
Yeah.
All right, it's time for the Take 5.
Let's do it.
Take 5.
Number 5. This world is family friendly, so there's something there for everyone in the family, and that includes things like the Curse of the Werewolf.
Number 4, we have some unique food and beverage locations and experiences. So we have Das Steakhouse Restaurant, which I'm really looking forward to the food there, as well as one of my most look forward to things in the land, which is the Burning Blade Tavern. Looking forward to the drinks that we have for it.
Yeah. Number 3, of course, there's shopping as well. We have Pretoria Scientific Oddities, and my favorite I'm most looking forward to, which is Darkmoor Monster Makeup, and we all got to get temporary tattoos.
And number 2, we have the attractions, which we have Monsters Unchained, the Frankenstein experiment, which I'm super excited for because there's technology like we have not seen. And of course, we also have the Curse of the Werewolf.
And finally, our last but not least, our number 1, which is just Darkmoor in general, the entire land of Dark Universe, the whole atmosphere of monsters and humans coming together, and who is the monster, and for us to be able to experience that is going to be something unique and something we have never experienced before in a theme park.
Yep. We'll see you in 2025 at Epic Universe, and in the meantime, if you want to learn more about Dark Universe, head to the show notes for all the links of everything we talked about today. Thank you to our amazing guests, Frances and Peter. Thank you to you guys. Thank you to our crew, and thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode. Michelle, what are we talking about today?
I do. Today we're talking about Dark Universe. I'm so sorry.
But it's hard. Universal's Dark Universe, Dark.
Sorry.